Welcome to our next video on how to read Body Language 101, Understanding Hand Gestures. Did you know that up to 90% of our communication is nonverbal? Astonishing, isn't it? In our day-to-day interactions, we're transmitting a wealth of information without uttering a single word. This silent language, this realm of nonverbal communication, is an intriguing and incredibly powerful tool in our human toolbox. Among the many forms of nonverbal communication, hand gestures hold a special place. Picture this: a clenched fist, a thumbs up, a dismissive wave. Each of these simple motions carries with it a cascade of meanings, a symphony of unspoken words. Our hands are like silent poets, crafting sonnets in the air that our mouths never speak. But why are hand gestures so important in our communication? Well, it's because they're inextricably linked to our feelings and emotions. They're the physical manifestation of our internal state, the outward expression of our innermost thoughts and moods. When we're excited, our hands move with vigor. When we're nervous, they might fidget or clasp together. Even when we try to hide our feelings, our hands often betray us, revealing our true sentiments. In this video, we're going to embark on a fascinating journey into the world of hand gestures. We'll explore their meanings, their subtleties, and their impact. We'll delve into specific examples, uncovering the secrets hidden in each movement. And we won't stop there. We'll also examine how gestures work not just individually, but in clusters, painting a more comprehensive picture of our nonverbal communication. This exploration won't just satisfy your curiosity, but it'll provide you with a new lens through which to view your interactions. It will equip you with the ability to understand what's being said, even when no words are spoken. So let's go straight into decoding the silent language of hands. Now dive into the world of hand gestures and uncover their meanings. Imagine the vast array of hand gestures you use every day, probably without even realizing it. These little movements, often subconscious, are a rich tapestry of non-verbal communication, painting pictures of our thoughts and feelings. Take the thumbs up gesture, for instance. In many cultures, it signifies approval or agreement. It's like saying good job or well done without uttering a word. But remember, context is king. In some parts of the world, the thumbs up gesture can be seen as offensive or even vulgar, so it's always essential to consider cultural nuances when interpreting hand gestures. Now let's talk about the fist bump. It might seem like a recent invention, popularized by athletes and celebrities, but it's actually been around for a long time. The fist bump is a symbol of camaraderie and solidarity, often used to congratulate or encourage. It says, "I've got your back," or "We're in this together." Moving on, we have the peace sign, a universal symbol of peace and harmony. This gesture, formed by raising your index and middle fingers while the rest of your fingers are closed, has been a symbol of anti-war sentiment since the 60s. It's a powerful statement of pacifism and unity, often used in rallies and protests. Of course, not all hand gestures are positive. The clenched fist raised in the air is a universal symbol of defiance or resistance. It's an expression of determination, a refusal to back down. It's a gesture that says, "I'm standing my ground." And then there are the more subtle gestures, like the hand wringing. This motion, where you rub your hands together, can indicate nervousness or anxiety. It's like your hands are literally trying to wash away your stress. But what about the hand-on-heart gesture? It's a sign of sincerity and conviction, often used when making promises or expressing deep emotions. It's like saying, "I mean this from the bottom of my heart." These are just a few examples of the rich vocabulary of hand gestures. Each one carries a different message, a different emotion, and yet they all share one thing in common. They're an essential part of our nonverbal communication toolbox. It's important to remember that the meaning of a gesture can change depending on the context. A hand gesture that means one thing in a casual setting might have a completely different meaning in a formal one. And of course, cultural differences can also play a big role in how gestures are interpreted. So as you navigate the world of nonverbal communication, remember to keep an open mind. Pay attention to the context, the cultural background, and the individual nuances that can alter the meaning of a gesture. Remember, a single gesture can tell 1,000 words. But hand gestures rarely come alone. They usually come in clusters. Let's unravel the mystery behind these clusters. When it comes to nonverbal communication, the power lies in the pattern. A single gesture, as we've seen, can tell us a lot about a person's feelings or thoughts. But when these gestures come together, they form what we call gesture clusters. These clusters provide a more comprehensive picture, allowing us to discern emotions and intentions with greater accuracy. Think of gesture clusters as the sentences of body language. Just as individual words gain meaning when strung together in sentences, individual gestures gain depth and context when they occur in clusters. Let's examine a few examples of gesture clusters and what they indicate. Firstly, consider someone who is crossing their arms, leaning back and looking away from you. Each of these gestures on its own could suggest a variety of things. Crossed arms could mean they're cold, leaning back could mean they're relaxed, and looking away could simply mean they're distracted. But when you see these three gestures together, it's a strong indication that the person is disinterested or defensive. On the other hand, imagine someone who is leaning forward, making eye contact, and nodding as you speak. These gestures, when seen together, indicate that the person is engaged, interested, and agreeing with what you're saying. Another common gesture cluster involves the hands and face. If someone is stroking their chin while furrowing their brows and looking away, it's a good sign they're deep in thought or trying to make a decision. However, it's crucial to remember that context is king. The same gesture cluster can mean different things in different situations. For instance, someone who is crossing their arms, tapping their foot, and looking around might be impatient if they're waiting in a long queue. But if they're doing the same gestures while listening to a presentation, it might indicate that they're bored or skeptical. Moreover, it's also important to consider cultural differences. Certain gestures or gesture clusters might mean one thing in one culture and something entirely different in another. So, while understanding gesture clusters can provide valuable insights, it's essential to avoid jumping to conclusions based on a single observation. Always consider the context, the person's baseline behavior, and potential cultural influences before making any interpretations. The art of reading gesture clusters is fascinating, complex, and incredibly useful. Whether you're trying to understand a friend, a colleague, a family member, or even a stranger, being able to decipher these clusters can help you connect with them on a deeper level. Clusters of gestures can provide a more comprehensive understanding of what is being communicated. So the next time you're trying to figure out what someone is really saying, don't just listen to their words. Pay attention to their gesture clusters. They might be telling you more than you think. Understanding hand gestures isn't just for fun, it has practical benefits too. Hand gestures are like a secret language, giving us deeper insight into our interactions with others. By deciphering these signals, we can enhance our communication skills, fostering better understanding and stronger connections. Let's consider a casual conversation with a friend. If their hands are open and relaxed, it's a sign they're comfortable and open to discussion. Spotting these signs can help us build stronger, more honest relationships based on mutual understanding. But the benefits aren't just personal, they're professional too. Imagine you're in a job interview. If the interviewer's hands are clasped together, they might be uncertain or anxious. Recognizing this, you can adjust your approach, perhaps by providing more clarity or reassurance. Or think about negotiations. If the other party's hand gestures are defensive, like crossing their arms or wagging their finger at you, they might be resistant to your proposal. Understanding this can help you navigate the conversation more effectively, potentially leading to a more favorable outcome. And it's not just about understanding others. Being aware of our own hand gestures can help us communicate more effectively, ensuring our nonverbal cues match our spoken words. With this knowledge, you can become a better communicator and listener. So the next time you're in a conversation, remember to not just listen with your ears, but also with your eyes. These silent signals have a lot to say. Congratulations, you're now well on your way to understanding hand gestures. We've journeyed through the fascinating realm of nonverbal communication, decoded some individual hand gestures, and delved into the significance of gesture clusters, and also explored their practical applications. Remember, the power to understand others lies not just in their words, but also in their hands. If you found this video informative and want to learn more about reading body language, don't forget to subscribe and follow us for more exciting content. Until next time, keep observing and keep learning.